Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to another video. Now today we are back with the Championship predictions. I'm joined by Harry. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm very good after today's news about the Rico. How are you doing?
Yes, yeah, not too bad at all. Yeah, Coventry City heading back to the Rico Arena. But let's get straight into the Championship predictions. Let's start with Friday night's game, Blackburn versus Brentford. Now this should be an interesting game. Both teams obviously in different positions in the table. Brentford trying to cement second place this season while Blackburn have fallen down to mid-table. But a good win last time out against Millwall and a decent draw against Swansea in midweek. I do fancy Brentford to win this one. I'm going to go for Brentford 1-0.
Yeah, Brentford doing very well as anticipated. Blackburn, as anticipated, having their Christmas drop-off where they struggled in the new year. But they might have wrestled that form a little bit, a draw and a win in recent games. I just think Brentford are a bit too powerful, but I'm going to go for 2-1 to Brentford.
2-1 to Brentford. Next up, Luton Town versus Swansea. The midday lunchtime Saturday game. This should be an interesting game. Luton Town, I've said before, they're a solid team and they are going to be an obstacle to this Swansea team who drew their last game against Blackburn in midweek. Swansea just need to turn those draws into wins if they want to get over the line and finish second this season. I think this is going to be a really tight game. I'm going to just back Swansea. I think this will be really, really close, but I'm going to go for Luton 1, Swansea 2.
Ooh, I think that Swansea will keep a clean sheet. I predicted Luton to lose last time, and I'm going to have to do it again, I'm afraid. They are a decent team, shown up a little bit by Norwich, but they're way top of the table, so that's not really surprising. I'm thinking Swansea are going to win very narrowly by 1-0. I don't reckon it'll be a very, very tight game, I suspect.
Yeah, next up we head to St Andrews for Birmingham City versus Bristol City. This is a really, really tricky one, isn't it? Birmingham City need those points to get away from that bottom three. They're the team just directly above it. And after Coventry winning last weekend, Birmingham now need to pick up a win to keep up with us. I'm going to back a draw here. Bristol City looking a little bit more solid under Nigel Pearson, so 1-1.
The battle of the BCFCs. I think 1-1 as well. I think Birmingham have this really uncanny habit to fight hard in games you wouldn't expect them to. And Bristol, doing well under Nigel Pearson, not the best team in the division, have been known to falter occasionally. So 1-1. 1-1.
Next up we have Bournemouth versus Barnsley. This is a juicy game for the race for the top six. Now Barnsley looking fairly solid, trying to cement that sixth place, while Bournemouth are just outside the playoffs now need to break back in there. And with the home advantage, maybe Bournemouth is a team you might lean towards, but Barnsley in some really good form. I'm going to be a fence sitter and go for a 1-1 draw.
I'm not going to be a fence sitter. I'm looking at Barnsley's run before their game tonight on the Wednesday evening. They're 7 in a row on a winning streak, so I just feel like that run has got to come to an end at some point. I don't see it being against Derby, but I could be wrong. I can see it being against Bournemouth, and I think Bournemouth might run away with this one a little bit. I think they might win 2-0.
2-0, wow, that's an interesting one. Next up we have a massive game between Cardiff City and Watford Football Club. Both teams really scrapping for promotion this season. This should be a really interesting game. Possibly the best fixture of the weekend, Cardiff versus Watford. Do you know what? I think I'm going to sit on the fence again and go for a 1-1 draw. I think both teams are looking fairly solid, both of them chasing the top 2 and the top 6. I'm going to go for 1-1.
Cardiff have been hugely improved since Mick McCarthy's come in. Watford also doing well, sitting in second, granted Swansea with a game in hand on them. It's going to be tight because Cardiff have really shored up at the back, and I don't know for sure, but I don't think Watford have been massive scorers in most games this season. They struggled against us in the 0-0 draw at St Andrews. I can see this one being another 0-0 actually.
Another 0-0. Next up, Derby County versus Millwall Football Club. Now, like Harry said, we are recording this before Derby and Barnsley play each other on the Wednesday night. Oh, it's a tricky one. Millwall have been fairly stubborn, and I haven't backed them many times this season. I don't know if I'm going to back them here. I'm going to go for another draw. I'm going to go Derby 1, Millwall 1.
You might as well just record 1-1 and just use that for your footage every single week. That's all you seem to go for. I agree with stubborn being the right word for Millwall. They are a good team. They have picked up a lot of good points this season. They had a period where they looked like they were going to struggle, but I think that's past now. And I think they will win this game 2-1.
2-1. Now next up, a really juicy game between Middlesbrough and Stoke City, two teams that are really desperate to sneak into the top 6 this season. They both could make it, but it's got to be a win for both teams in this one. I'm not going to go for a draw, surprisingly. I think I'm going to back the home team here. Middlesbrough a little bit unlucky last time against Swansea, so I'm going to back them to beat Stoke 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, Middlesbrough have been one of those teams this season where they've picked up a good result, a good scrappy result, and then just not followed it up with another victory on the back of that. So they're sort of staying in 9th place, wherever they are at the moment. They've not really moved further up or down than that. I think they'll just edge this one. Stoke haven't impressed me too much, really. They're a decent team, just below Middlesbrough. I think 1-0 to Middlesbrough.
1-0 to Middlesbrough. Next up, Nottingham Forest versus Reading. Now, Forest have got to 40 points. They look like they should be staying up this season. Just need to get a couple more results to get over the line. And they're up against a team, Reading, who are obviously trying to cement the top 6. And with teams like Barnsley and Cardiff hitting good form, Reading really need to keep winning games. And I think they will. I'm going to back them to win this 1-0.
Yeah, Forest look like they should be okay, but they do need to be careful. There's a few teams below them, including Coventry on 38 points. There's a reason they're not too far away from it. They're not the best team in the bottom half, and Reading have been doing better recently. I think Reading 2-0, honestly. I think Reading will be able to shut them out quite well.
Yeah, Reading 2-0. Next up, an interesting game, Queen's Park Rangers versus Huddersfield Town. Now QPR with a midweek win over Wycombe, 1-0 to keep them ticking along towards mid-table, and who knows, maybe a late charge towards the top 6. Huddersfield Town really in the scrap, and I don't fancy them here. I haven't really thought too much of Huddersfield this season. It's a shame because they obviously want to be doing better than this, but I think they're going to lose this 2-0.
The QPR, they'll be fuming, I think, that they didn't score more than 1 against Wycombe the other night, because they didn't stonk them, but they had a lot better. They had a lot more clear chances, I would have thought. I would say, than Wycombe had done. I wonder if that's going to come back to bite them in this game. The only problem is Huddersfield aren't great scorers themselves. I can see this being 0-0.
0-0. Next up we have Rotherham versus Coventry. Obviously it's been postponed, bit of a shame because Rotherham have more COVID cases, but we'll predict the game anyway for when it does come around, which will probably not be for a month anyway. I'm just going to go for a 1-1 draw on this. It'll be a tough game when it does come around.
Yeah, I think because it's going to be so far in the future, it's very difficult to predict, so I'm not going to go for anything fancy either. I'm going to go for 1-1.
1-1. Yeah, next up we have Wycombe versus Preston. This is it might be the most meaningless game out of all of them we've gone through, because Wycombe, they look pretty relegated already, and Preston, I can't see them going up or down, so I'm just going to go for another 1-1 draw. I can't see a lot happening here.
Wycombe are playing for pride, aren't they? They're playing to not finish in the bottom, at the bottom of the table, because they've just not been up to standard so far this season. They could turn that around and challenge the second from bottom. Yeah, I just don't see them being able to get past Preston. No, I think it'll be a comfortable 2-0 to Preston.
Yeah, and the final game is on the Sunday, Sheffield Wednesday versus Norwich City. This is a really interesting game. Norwich looking really solid, obviously, and Sheffield Wednesday need the points like now. I mean, Darren Moore, he needs to get his first win soon, and the only thing that could play into their hands against this Norwich team is because Norwich are so far ahead, they might take their foot off the gas a little, but I still don't think Sheffield Wednesday will win. I'm going to back him to get his first point, though. I do think Norwich are the favourites, but because they're so far ahead, I think they could afford a little slip up here, so I'm going to go for 1-1.
I think that the quality that Norwich players have is just going to be far too much for Wednesday to deal with. I think they're too professional to take their foot off the gas at this point in the season. They'll know promotion's not sealed yet, although it's pretty close. When you look at the players that they've got, I mean, Buendia and Todd Cantwell and Timu Pukki, they've got some incredible players, very professional players. I can see this being another 3-0, in fact.
3-0. So then, guys, that does wrap up the championship predictions. Make sure to leave your predictions down below. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to like, and if you're new around here, press that subscribe button. We'll see you in the next video. Peace out.